John Madden in my camper van around 2 in the morning on this would be the 10th, I guess, of February. Got just a little glimpse there of the cleaners. I hope this light is shining on me accurately. Little glimpse of the Los Hombres and Mujeres de Limpieza de Veracruz, the people who clean. In Mexico, they give people connected with the picking up of garbage a much more respectful name than in the U.S., where we call them garbage men, which is really classist and disrespectful. So I couldn't pass that up because they do such a beautiful job of keeping the city clean, and especially public areas like down by the water here. I'm sitting next to the harbor. Let's see if I hope we can get a little glimpse of that out there. It's really, really, really calm this morning at 2 in the morning. I've heard just a little sputtering of one boat out there with its engine running. It was busy here along the walkway, along the water, until about midnight. I want to check and see, make sure it's still videotaping. It's been really quiet, and I went to bed quite early. I had had an extremely active and eventful and emotion-filled day, including wonderful, wonderful things, beautiful engagement with a young cashier in a convenience store here who's such a talented young woman and such a spitfire, so much her own person. And there was a boat out in the harbor shooting. I'll put links to that. I got a couple great videos of this huge boat out in the harbor sending out huge jets of water, and I never quite understood if it was cleaning the other boats or what was going on, but it was fabulous and gorgeous. But it's really, really quiet right now. About 15 or 20 minutes ago, the silence was pierced by, on the corner over there, there's a restaurant called El Molle. It looks like they maybe have some lights on there now. It's closed during the week in the off season, but they do open up on the weekends, which it is now on a Saturday morning. El Molle means the pier, the wharf, I think. Muelle. And the guy there is really great, and you can go use the bathroom for 5 or 10 pesos. And he makes a mean huevos rancheros, an egg dish that I've had once before and want to have again. So they have a little boy there who plays all around the store and out on the sidewalk. And the children in Mexico are amazingly well nurtured. Oh, they are wonderful, happy kids. And he's probably all of about 2, I think. So about 20 minutes ago, the silence of the spot was broken by that baby crying so pitifully. Oh, he was really releasing his pain. And I knew, because I've seen him with his parents, and I know what child rearing is like in Mexico, that he wasn't crying because he was abused or neglected. He was crying because he's a baby. And when he feels pain, that's all he feels. He doesn't have the perspective of it's going to pass. So he releases so deeply. Now, one of the secrets, I think it's maybe secret 19 of my How to Be Happy program, is feel and release all your trauma. Because humans inevitably get traumatized. We all do. no matter how good our parents are, they can't be perfect. And they wound us, they neglect us in little ways, at least down here. And then bad things happen in most people's lives. We get hurt. There's been a huge misunderstanding about trauma in the U.S. perpetrated by the psychiatric industry, where they get presented with someone like me in my early 40s who's in the middle of a lot of trauma. And because they never got trained about trauma in graduate school and their medical training, where they could see a human being who's feeling pain that needs to be released, what they see is a biochemical subject who's having a biochemical issue that needs to be remedied with really the only hammer they have in their toolkit is drugs, diagnosis and drugs. And the diagnosis can be reassuring because, oh, there's a reason why I'm feeling all the pain, but it's the wrong reason. It's an erroneous reason. And the drugs they give actively prevent people from feeling their feelings and releasing. So, as a clinical psychologist myself who was trained alongside psychiatrists at the big university hospital, and it was so evident we were student radicals and we were battling our faculty for the whole 4 years I was there. The psychiatry students were not student radicals. They were good conservative kids trying to build a money-making career. The psychiatry residents in the hospital were little sheep being escorted around by their mentors, their big daddies, who were saying, my son, mostly sons, all this eventually will belong to you. And they were starstruck and stayed right in step while we were breaking free and pioneering all kinds of new kinds of therapy and new ways of looking at the world. Yeah, that's the psychiatry profession. So, us humans need to do what that baby did. We need to reclaim our capacity, which we mostly have lost because we grew up and got taught that big boys don't cry, or want to keep our kind of performance in some kind of workable order where we look good to people. So we don't do that. We don't wail and weep. Oh, there's more. No, it's not the garbage guys. That's some guy pushing a cart of some kind. No, we don't do that. But I do. And I never gave up that ability. I was, at the same time I was being trained as a psychologist and rebelling against the models they were giving us, I was off learning all the new ways of approaching therapy, which included trauma release, the primal scream, Irvin Janoff, and all the offshoots of that, and reevaluation counseling, which is a very solid peer approach to personal growth, and it included deep release of your feelings and lots of support, emotional and even physical support, being held while you cried and wailed and raged and got all your feelings out. But when I got in the clutches of the psychiatrists in my early 40s and had a perfect storm of life crises, which included the return of my sex abuse memories, which had been stuffed away for 30 years, I was suffering terribly, and the psychologist who was trying to help me with my sex abuse memories, because he specialized in guys who had that history, sent me to his psychiatric associate, because he said, you know, I was trained like you. When you were trained as a psychologist, we thought everything was psychology. But the data says that guys with sex abuse memories, their classic second diagnosis is clinical depression. And some of the guys I see, when they have a consult with my psychiatric associate and get on drugs, they do better. Yeah, they look better. That's what those drugs do. They mask the symptoms. They help you not feel your pain as much so you function better, but they don't help you heal. No. So that's what happened to me. I got diagnosed, misdiagnosed, originally clinical depression and then bipolar disorder because I do have high energy surges that never led to depression until the shrinks got their hands on me. So I spent 30 years in their clutches. So I have, I complained to a friend of mine in the middle of my 30 years and said, you know, I've lost Tony Tiedemann in Sacramento. I can't cry anymore. I've lost track. That used to be such a wonderful healing release for me, and I can't do it anymore. And she said she had a sister who was in the hands of the psychiatrist forever. She said, I bet it's your meds. Go talk to your shrink. And I did. I went and talked to him, and he said, yeah, probably. He was a real straight shooter. David, somebody, good guy. He really was a good guy. Not smart enough to ever question the diagnosis I had. He said, probably those mood stabilizers, you know, the way they work, they lop off your upper part when they keep you from going high and they keep you from going too low, but they kind of blur out everything in between. So that's probably the case. And you just need to decide whether the 5%, and he also was a straight shooter about that. Mostly they help you reduce your pain, 5%, that's about it. But if that's enough to keep you from committing suicide and ruining everybody else's life, you have to decide it. And so I decided to keep taking the bargain and did for another 7 years, I think. Yeah, we need to release, need to cry like a baby, preferably in the presence of someone who gives us a lot of love and a lot of support and maybe holds us while we cry. In the last month, in the last few months, I've had 3 really major releases of the stuff that was not completely done. Some of it was new. Back in Moctezuma neighborhood of Xalapa, on the outskirts of Xalapa, Xalapa, state capital of Veracruz. I really dug into my pain around losing my dog Magic, which was very, very tragic, very sad, very traumatic event. And I had a huge release, and that's on video because it was the presence of people through the video camera. I started out speaking the story into a video for all my adoring fans out there, you know, which on YouTube is not a lot. On TikTok it was a lot. But it was enough. It was enough presence of a kind person, my projecting that someone eventually would watch this. And I had a huge release. Boy, I really went for it. And it was great. Left me more peaceful. And then something like maybe just 6 days ago, in the Boca del Rio section of Veracruz, the affluent upper middle class neighborhood around the beautiful beaches, the Playa La Bamba beach, where I was parked for a long time. On Saturday, maybe it was Sunday morning, last Sunday, because I love the children of Mexico so much and so touched by it. I guess I started a video talking about that, And it led into my grief about not seeing my grandkids. And I've really faced it. It's been with me. I haven't seen them for 5 years. And I do release it, but I hadn't for quite a while, and I went very deep with that, and that, again, left me very peaceful and happy. And then just a couple of days ago, in a virtual relationship with a young woman that I met on the Tinder dating site, we had the most powerful exchange, the most genuine meeting of two people through texting. Had to be texting because she speaks Spanish, and phone call really wouldn't work so good between us. And she asked me, you made reference to a psychiatrist. Well, why was that? Why did you see a psychiatrist? So sooner than I had intended, I got to telling her about the period where I got diagnosed, and all the trauma that was happening in that period, and the trauma of being diagnosed as a psychologist myself and told I had a mental illness. So sending her text, and we were real time, back and forth. So she was present to me there. I felt that stuff again in a way I haven't for a long time, and I did some real deep crying sitting in my camper van down here, parked along the waterfront. And once again, it left me feeling really happy and peaceful. So folks, I recommend it. I hope, because I did not start this video as a selfie. I started it out the window with the garbage, los hombres de limpieza, the cleaning people who clean the neighborhood. I just rolled it from there, so I don't have the screen facing me, so I don't know what this looks like. Hope it came through okay. And I hope you consider, do I have in my life the support I need? Do I have the touching? Do I have the intimacy that would allow me to do the releasing I need to do to heal my traumas? And what I was doing as I was approaching this new young woman was saying to her, where are the bodies buried? You know, if we're going to get to know each other, I'm going to be interested in your trauma also. That's part of what it means to get intimate with someone, as a lover or as a friend or a parent to a child. Where's your pain? I want to hear it, babe. What can I do? What kind of support do you need from me so you can let that out, so you can go back to being the wonderful, infinite soul you naturally are? Good. Now, can you hear that puttering of the boat out there on the harbor? I'll go back to that. Eventually, I'll go back to sleep. Thank you.